Joining me this evening are my colleague Ram Kinkar, also BJP spokesperson Charu Pragya and spokesperson for the Aam Aadmi Party Reena Gupta. Thank you so much to all of you for joining us. Ram, first to you, give us a sense of the probe, the investigation that is happening into this tragedy. Where is it headed? What has happened so far?
Actually, after the incident, as we shown in our report that political slugfest also started and the blame game also started after this incident. The area is low lit right now. Bystanders, a number of bystanders who are roadside are here to show that what happened here. As we know, 27 lives lost after a major fire incident in the city. But the reason is that who is responsible? They are the Delhi government is responsible for this, that it is a Lal Dora land, how the building is constructed, how the MCD has given a permission to construct a building here. But the MCD has clearly said that they will start a survey in the area, especially in his jurisdiction. The area comes under North Delhi Municipal Corporation's jurisdictions, and they will survey, and they asked their zonal commissioners to submit the report within 48 hours that how such type of building in which this kind of illegal factories are operating. That's why they will take action against them. But political slugfest and blame game is also here. Before some time, there was the chief of Delhi unit BJP, Mr. Gupta. He clearly pointed out and he said that the sole responsibility of this incident goes to only Delhi government.
Okay,
On the other hand,
let's see what the BJP and the Aam Aadmi Party have to say about that, Ram. Thank you so much for all of those details, Ram. Charu, I'll come across to you right now. The NDMC has now sought a report. The North MCD, I believe, has sought a report right now in terms of the factory approvals and the fire department NOC, which was not there, which is something which the Delhi Fire Chief has, in fact, confirmed, Mr. Atul Garg, that there was no NOC. So he wants a report right now on this from the Narela zone. Now, after a tragedy has happened, this is one of the worst fire tragedies that Delhi has seen in the recent past. 27 charred bodies have already been recovered from the accident site and many are still missing. Isn't this a little too late?
So, Polumi, my condolences to every single precious life lost and their families, and so many prayers for those who are still missing. I hope some miracle happens and we find some of them who can still be saved. The problem in Delhi is not just one fire. It is actually a series of fires in the last couple of years. And why is it that after every single fire, we are left counting bodies and we are left pointing fingers and running through the political blame game? I want to ask the Fire Department of Delhi, why are inspections not done? If you have not given clearance, why are people allowed to live in these buildings? Let me run you also through some of the incidents that I have actually sat through and read through about. The Anaj Mandi in 2019, 44 people were lost. Just 2 years back, do you remember that incident from Karol Bagh, where a four-storey restaurant had no clearance and we lost 17 people in that one fire incident. Zakir Nagar had an incident, Gokumpuri had an incident, Kirti Nagar had an incident, and now we're talking about the newest one. So I want to very clearly ask Delhi government, what is your department doing? Is your job only to sign paper in return for some money in bribes, or is your job to ensure that fire compliances are done in buildings which get certificates for inhabitation? Why is it that no inspections happen? Why is it that after we find charred bodies, we bring everybody to a TV panel to discuss it?
Okay, Charu, let Reena Gupta respond to that. Let Reena Gupta respond to that.
There are more than 100 lives lost in less than a year only because of fire incidents in Delhi.
Okay, Reena Gupta, do you want to come in on that? Why is it that we're seeing tragedy after tragedy and no sort of action is being taken? Because the fact also is that factory owners today and some of the traders' bodies have said that factory owners find it very difficult to get NOCs from the fire department. So much so that even if they apply for it, it gets delayed. So they just, because of the bottlenecks, because of the red tapeism, they find it very difficult and some of them don't even apply for it.
So, Polumi, first of all, we are all heartbroken that so many lives have been lost. But the incident yesterday is a prime example of the corruption in MCD led by the Bharatiya Janata Party. Any novice will tell you that in Delhi, in order to construct a building, you need a permission from MCD. Your maps, the Naksha has to be passed by MCD. This building was not passed on paper. Till in 2016, MCD gave a license to this building. This is a Gram Sabha area where no commercial activity can take place. However, MCD gave a license in 2016. In 2017, somebody complained against this building. So the license was cancelled. On paper, the license was cancelled, but because all the Bharatiya Janata Party parshas continue to take money, the building was allowed to operate. In 2019, the Supreme Court set up a monitoring committee saying that this very building is in violation and why should it not be sealed and a penalty needs to be paid. Even today, on paper, this building, follow me, is supposed to be sealed. How was it allowed to run? The only reason it was allowed to... Let me complete. Don't interrupt, please. Let me complete. The only reason it was allowed to run was because MCD, BJP was all making money out of it. Now, where does the Delhi Fire Department come in? Delhi Fire Department comes in when you have a legal building which is allowed to be there. When you have a legal building, you apply to the fire department for a no objection certificate. When on paper, the building first of all is illegal, secondly, it's supposed to be sealed. Then how will the Delhi Fire Department give an NOC to a building?
Okay, Reena, you've made your point. You've made the point, and Charu, you respond to that point. जो building ही illegal है, वो क्या apply करेगी NOC के लिए? That's the point that Reena Gupta is making.
Yeah, so, I find it very convenient for Reena Gupta and I find it very convenient for Aam Aadmi Party that for every bad thing that happens to the city, they find somebody else to blame. What is your job really? Except for pointing fingers, you never own up to any responsibility. I never hear regret in the voices of Aam Aadmi Party spokespersons, and that's very, very unfortunate, Polumi. The fact is that Delhi has a full-fledged fire department. It's so easy to say कि building illegal.
What will the fire department do? The building is sealed on paper. The building is sealed on paper. What will the fire department do?
And I will appreciate if you extend the same courtesy.
Reena, just hold on. Let her make a point. You can respond, of course.
Yeah, thank you very much. And I don't like to speak over other people. I'll really appreciate the same courtesy in return. So the fact is that Delhi Fire Department does nothing. It actually does nothing. And I know for a fact that all you need to get a signature of clearance from that department is some amount of money. Isn't that very unfortunate? So rather than fixing the problem, rather than allowing an external probe to happen into your department, you sit here and the only thing you can say for every wrongdoing in your life is BJP, BJP and BJP. Very, very sad. Reena, very sad.
Okay, Reena, go ahead. Yes.
Can I come in? Polumi, she didn't answer the question. How was this building allowed to stand there? How was it allowed to undertake commercial activity when it is an area where no commercial activity can take place? Secondly, in 2019, when the Supreme Court ordered this building to be sealed, on paper the building is sealed. What will the fire department do? That building is sealed on paper. Why will the fire department give an NOC?
Yes, okay. Charu, respond to that question. Charu, respond to that specific question about the illegality of the building.
Right.
Okay, Reena, you asked a question. Reena, you asked a question. Charu, respond to the question, the specific point about the illegality of the building.
Absolutely. So, Polumi, when our MCD does demolition of illegal buildings and floors and construction, guess who sits in front of the bulldozers? It is Aam Aadmi Party people. Guess who are the people who are helping people do illegal construction in the city? Aam Aadmi Party people. Can I give you names? MLA Shoaib Iqbal, does he ring a bell? 8 floor की building बनाने दे रहे हो आप उसको. तो सच्चाई ये है कि जब demolition की बारी आती है, आप जाकर वो होने नहीं देना चाहते because पता नहीं आपको अपनी कौन सी राजनीतिक रोटी सेकनी है. The fact is that when good work happens, you stand in the way, and when things go wrong, you find people to blame. I will repeat myself when I say this. Aam Aadmi Party is the most irresponsible political party and the most corrupt government, the more...
comment, please?
Okay, Reena, answer that question. The question that Charu is asking is that you're playing politics on both sides. The fact is that you want illegal buildings to be caught out and also you stop demolition drives.
So, Paulomi, first of all, for the past 15 years, it's Bharatiya Janata Party in MCD. These buildings don't come up overnight. They have taken money from all of these people who constructed
Do
these
you
buildings.
deny sitting in front of bulldozers when demolition drives happen?
And also,
actually,
also
don't
what
do it at
they're
all
doing,
locations. You only do it at locations where you see some sort of political फायदा. Isn't that right, Reena? Shaheen Bagh में होगा तो आप सामने बैठोगे, New Friends Colony में होगा तो गिरने दो सब कुछ. That's your political stand, right? Social stand.
Can I speak?
Please.
Yeah. So, see, all of these big buildings from where they have taken crores of rupees, they're not going to demolish those buildings. All they want to do is demolish the houses of the poor people. Because from there, what they're doing is they're trying to extract more money.
MG Road is really? Last I checked, a normal person cannot even buy a room in New Friends Colony.
How was it allowed to come up in the first place? How much money have you taken for this building to be allowed to come up? So many lives have been lost.
Reena does not
It's a very serious charge that both of you are in fact leveling against each other. What you're basically saying is each institution is corrupt. Delhi government is corrupt, fire department is corrupt and MCD is corrupt.
Where is the Delhi government corrupt? Did the Delhi government allow this building to come up? It's the MCD which allowed this building to come up. Bharatiya Janata Party has been sitting in MCD for 15 years. They are the ones who allowed this building to come up. How did they allow this building to come up?
Delhi government only says the blame game and says BJP after everything. I understand Delhi government has nothing, so fine, you're wrong too.
And I can tell you, follow me, there are several buildings.
Okay, one second. Reena, complete your point so we can hear what Charu has to say as well. We'll hear both.
They are the ones who keep taking money and they keep allowing all these illegal constructions to come up. These buildings don't come up overnight.
You know, at the bottom of it, all you're saying is, all you're doing is alleging corruption against each other, but there are death traps across the national capital.
Exactly. So much more demolition needs to happen, Paulomi, because, you know, they are not numbers we are counting. These are people, these are families destroyed, their children whose lives are changed forever. 29 people are still missing after this fire tragedy. And all Reena Gupta can sit here and say is MCD and BJP. It's very unfortunate. And I want to really remind her that when the government does any sort of a survey, when MCD does a survey and says demolition needs to happen, then you need to allow it to happen, please, because the city can only run in a legitimate and fair manner, not according to your whims and fancies.
New MCD would have come in and they would have made sure that all these buildings do not exist anymore. Why did you postpone the elections of MCD? Right now, you know, the MCD tenure is going to finish in 1 week and there will be no MCD left to blame.
Instead of addressing the issues, she's talking about elections today.
Postpone the elections. They knew they were going to lose in the MCD because of all the corruption that they've done.
Is that going to change things? Is that going to change things? Is that going to change things, Reena Gupta?
All these years they've taken all this money.
Why are you even discussing the election when the topic is so severe? When we are still looking for bodies of people lost in that rubble.
Has ruined all these areas of Delhi.
The specific question also remains, while Charu has answered the charge about the illegality, you might accept the answer or not, of course, that's a totally different issue. We're not saying it has to be accepted. The charge about factory owners saying that they find it very difficult to get NOCs.
Paulomi, can I add one more point? So all the blame that she is laying today, let me remind her, Delhi High Court has said that the fire department can seal a building if norms are not followed, which was the last floor of
this building was sealed on paper, madam. This building was sealed on paper. On paper, the building was not supposed to exist. As of today, the building is supposed to be sealed on paper. But it is only because of the connivance of the Bharatiya Janata Party
fire department. No, Paulomi, this is not a time for tutu-meme. This is not a slugfest.
I agree with that point. I agree with that point. This is not the time for tutu-meme or a blame game. But we're still trying to understand where does the blame lie, because somewhere it has started and of course it's escalated and has been extrapolated in different ways and everyone has somehow deflected their responsibility and sense of accountability in this entire process, and we've lost 27 lives at least in this tragedy, and that's the unfortunate part. So is there going to be any sort of course correction?
There needs to be. So the
the
first thing
Okay,
that
okay,
needs
one
to
by
be
one,
done.
one by one, because this is something serious. Okay, Charu and then Reena. Make your
Yeah.
point.
So first of all, the surveys done by NCD which show us illegal construction, it has to be done away with. No politics there. As simple as that. Our city has to only take on the burden that it can bear. Otherwise, it leads to tragedies like this. And the second thing is, if we have a fire department, it needs to start working. When the High Court says that you can seal buildings, please go there physically, do inspections, write letters, seal those buildings, do whatever needs to be done, but get attention to the fact which needs attention instead of just shifting the blame every single time a tragedy occurs. Reena, I have a whole list written out here. If I start reading, the show is going to be over, because the number of fires in our city in just the last 2 years, it's mind-boggling. It's mind-boggling. We're losing children, we're losing old people, we're losing factory workers.
Okay, Reena?
See, Paulomi, on paper, this building was sealed. So, the fire department will not go and seal a building which is already sealed on paper. That's point number one. Point number two, what happens is, because there are a lot of these buildings which will not even pass the norms of a fire safety certificate. So, these building owners, they have done all this illegal construction in connivance with MCD, will not apply for a fire safety certificate because they know they will not get a fire safety certificate.
You can respond. You'll be able to respond. Just a minute. Just a minute.
Follow me, these buildings don't come up overnight. These buildings have been constructed over the years, and for the past 15 years, it's the Bharatiya Janata Party MCD which is allowing all these buildings to come up by taking bribes from these building owners. Then that is the reason why you have tragedies like this, that these buildings which don't have fire safety norms, there is only one exit from that area.
We're still trying to talk about solutions to the problem.
Yes, exactly. The Chief Minister of Delhi has ordered an inquiry, Paulomi. In 48 hours, the result will come out and we will see who is accountable for these lapses, and then those people are going to be punished to the maximum what is allowed under the law.
Okay, Charu, you wanted to come in?
So first of all, Reena seems to have a lot of insider information. I want to ask her, why did she not bring attention to it? Did you click pictures of the building and put it on your social media? Did you speak to a journalist about it? Did you write a letter to the concerned authorities? Is there anything you did? Because sitting here on television and claiming to know everything about the last 15 years is, I'm sorry, it's sounding even more irresponsible than the fact that your fire department did nothing. And since you go on and on about 15 years, for 9 years, the fire department has been under you.
7 years, Pragya.
Okay, technicality, but you get my point. And you have no answer to that. You did nothing about it. If you had all this information, it's your responsibility.
I don't understand. I mean, is there कागज के ऊपर वो building seal की हुई है, Pragya? कागज
Okay, we seem to be going round and round over the same thing.
It's crazy. She's just not getting the crux of what I'm trying to say.
She's not
if
getting
I
the point.
see something illegal, do I not raise my voice about it? What are you in public life for? To sit over it and then come on a debate and then say किसी और की गलती है, but मुझे पता था पहले से. Is that what you're trying to say?
Okay.
The point is that there is, they have postponed the elections of MCD. Very soon we will not even have an MCD.
So, discuss the elections on a day like today. I'm sorry. This is not a time to discuss elections, and I used to get dragged into this.
No, if the MCD elections were to be some kind of a magic bullet, then obviously let's have the elections right now and sort the problem out. But from what I understand from this discussion and this debate, from this discussion and debate, what I understand is that the culpability lies at every end possible. Everyone is responsible, from the factory approval, in terms of the legality of the building, in terms of the planning approvals, in terms of that one single entry exit point, one staircase in that building, in that 3-storied building, to, of course, the NOC, which was never acquired by that building from the fire department. What was the fire department doing? That is also a question that we need to ask. So these are many questions, and no one person is to be blamed. Everyone is to be blamed. Charu, Pragya and Reena Gupta, thank you so much for joining us this evening. That's a wrap on this bulletin. For all the news and updates, you can log on to indiatoday.in. You can also download the India Today app. Thanks for watching.
You are watching India Today.